Welcome back to Tucson, Arizona. It's the Memorial on ESPN3, the Watch ESPN app. My name is Dave Vincent alongside David Fink here for the World Players of Handball and the Race for 8 Tour. This is stop number 2, season number 5, Tucson Racket and Fitness Club, where the quarterfinals had a little shakeup today, the very first upset, just from the seed standpoints. But, you know, we both knew that any of these players could win. It was Killian Carroll getting past Luis Moreno in that opening match that we aired here on ESPN, and now we're going into this next one, Stephen Cooney and Mondo Ortiz. Does Cooney have a chance against Mondo? What can Cooney do to defeat Mondo Ortiz here?
Well, I think if Mondo's firing on all cylinders the way we saw him in the doubles at the U.S. Open, the way we've seen him in the past, it'll be hard for Stephen to really do anything to stop that. But, you know, if Mondo's a little bit off of his game, I know Mondo has been playing a lot since the U.S. Open, we could see a very competitive match. Stephen's a very scrappy player. He's got a great re-kill, so if Armando's not putting the ball down flat, Stephen will be there with that great Irish punch re-kill, particularly with his left, and he'll make a lot of points with that.
Would you say that the styles of that serve and shoot game are very similar between what we saw in Killian Carroll and Mondo Ortiz? Does it match up in that sort of sense that you could see maybe that sort of serve and first strike thing?
I see Mondo hitting shots that I've never seen anyone hit. I watched Mondo last night take Vic Perez's serve, power serve to the left, and hit flat rolls with his left hand off the bounce from 38 feet consistently. I don't see anyone else doing that. Armando's going to go for shots that most players wouldn't attempt, particularly someone like Killian, who really does play the percentages.
Now, Mondo Ortiz was just highlighted here on ESPN with that interview with Kara Mack, and as we look at Mondo Ortiz and talk to all of the fans that are always constantly following us around from one stop to the next, they always bring up Mondo. They talk about, did you see how he played in that doubles match at the U.S. Open in the semis and then the finals? And these are the kind of the talks of the town when you travel from stop to stop. Mondo was about, what you would consider on fire.
Yeah, it's funny because Mondo and Vic were almost knocked out of that tournament in the second game of the semifinals, down 10-1 after they lost the first game. We'd pretty much written the match off. Mondo comes back to dominate the rest of the tournament in the doubles, wins that second game, wins the tiebreaker, and dominates alongside Vic Perez, Emmett, and Paul Brady.
Here it is, the first serve of this match between Mondo Ortiz, who is serving, and Stephen Cooney, who just could not get that serve to the front wall.
Stephen had his best tournament of the year last year at this event, taking 6th. That was on his way, Dave, to the top 10. And now he was invited here as the 7th seed. So coming from last season with no ranking all the way up to number 7 seed, pretty impressive here. But Stephen, Dave, has been very frank here this week, saying, I've just been playing terribly here the last couple of months. He didn't play well at all in Idaho, didn't play well at the U.S. Open, but he did make it through the first round here, so he's had one of his best results as far as finishes go here in this tournament.
All right.
Sometimes that's the way it works out.
2-0.
That's an amazing. We saw a display of that and at the U.S. Open, and the crowd now getting to see it courtside and just a few feet behind this wall, too. So Mondo's putting on a show early. That's a foot fault, no call. Ref calls short instead. Talking about Steve Cooney, he's saying not playing very well. He's in the round of 8 at a pro stop. The most popular pro tour in court sports, the Race for 8 is. This is where Mondo's dangerous.
I think Stephen takes a timeout, should take a timeout right now. No one's tired, but Mondo's already building that momentum. He's already getting that train rolling. And I think right now, if you can just sort of pop that balloon just a little bit, maybe you have a chance to get yourself involved. Dave, we heard someone saying this morning, I can remember when John Bike Jr. played here, it felt like he was going to knock the wall over. I get the same feeling when Mondo hits the ball.
Yet, does anybody pack a bigger punch, pound for pound, in the sport of handball than Mondo Ortiz?
Well, I don't know if anyone packs a bigger punch, period.
6-0.
And thus far, it's been target practice for Mondo.
Side out.
That was a nice shot there from Steve Cooney. Went over the top, kept it down, side out. Going to be 0 serve 6. And these have been some pretty fast games.
0 serve 6.
Some lopsided games as well, even going back to the qualifiers.
Short.
That's a good call from our referee, Lauren Collado, and it's going to be appealed from
see?
Stephen Cooney.
It's all good. You agree? It's all good. All right. You saw that ball good? Really? You saw that good too? All right.
It was short. Both players agree that it was good. See, they're short by 3 inches.
They both disagreed with me. You agreed? You don't?
Line.
Saw short? All right. All right, short ball.
See, Mondo,
You gotta put
see,
your,
that's like 4 inches
put
short.
his fingers
And a
down.
foot fault by 4 inches, if you're counting.
Second serve.
And Mondo, even before the match started, was telling the referees how they're
Side out.
supposed to use the thumbs up, thumbs down thing, and it was exactly the opposite of what happened.
6-0.
I wonder in life why you tell anybody anything.
You know, it doesn't do any good. I mean, talking is definitely not any way to resolve anything. It's never
play
been. That should have been avoidable. I mean, Mondo stood right in front of his swing. What more could it?
That's an avoidable. You
Yeah.
could,
6-0.
it's actually the word, avoidable. Broken ball.
Ball. Your ball. Really? Is it on? She said it's on.
This might be a while to warm up this next ball. Let's go to Kara Mack, who's courtside with Sean Lenning right now. Kara?
Hey guys, yeah, I'm here with Sean Lenning. Talk to me a little bit about Mondo and the performance that you saw from him during the Open.
Oh, he's a beast. When he gets going, he's hard to stop. And I don't know why Cooney didn't take a timeout a few points ago.
We're gonna have a little bit of fun with you, okay? It's gonna be a little game. I want the first word that comes to mind when I say a word to you, okay? Paul Brady,
Good.
race for 8s.
Good.
You're really original here, aren't you? All right, yellow jersey.
Bright.
There you go. Luis Moreno,
Good.
Players Championship.
Fun.
Sean Lenning,
Good.
good. Handball on ESPN.
That's nice.
Junior handball.
Ideal.
Irish handball.
7 serve 0.
Inspiring.
Crossover play.
Fun.
And what's beyond good?
Great.
There you go. All right, guys, back to you.
Thank you. As we're back into play here,
Oh,
I mean, good play.
I don't think Sean wanted to pull out his Scrabble repertoire during
No.
that interview and give away any secrets.
I thought Kara was actually
8 serve
interviewing
0.
Jack Nicholson there for a minute. It's really good. Good. Nice. Little screen there. Look at that. Crazy stiletto right corner kill with the left hand, and the crowd then slamming the glass with their fists.
Well, Mondo raising his hand to say that that was a lucky shot, wasn't
9
going for
serve
that.
0.
Yeah, that's an inside out. Crazy shot. I think he's actually saying thank you.
Well, we'll find out later. I don't think so. Mondo is really,
Point.
Dave, planting his feet and getting himself low and taking balls that you'd think would be difficult shots and flat killing them.
10 serve 0.
90 miles per hour. And Dave, if you're Cooney, you couldn't hit a worse shot than that right fist.
Mondo said there was contact, let the referee know there was contact. Referee doesn't call it, and Mondo Ortiz just takes care of it and hits that kill shot in the right corner. Talk about changing their feet just a little bit there, Dave, as Mondo Ortiz was all wound up there, tried to quickly replant his feet and was unable to hit that kill shot. That should be a point. Nice little crack serve to the left is Steve Cooney. And now he's scoring.
Took Steven 8 minutes to score his first point.
Jeez. Mondo hit that ball so hard with his left. We're in another court, and we can hear it where we're located in this broadcast area.
You know, Dave, talking to a very, very good friend of yours, Dave Chapman, a couple years ago, he said that Mondo is one of the only guys he's ever seen that can flat roll the ball from anywhere on the court with either hand. It's pretty high praise from your good friend.
Well, I always felt that Alan Garner was also one of those guys. I know he's fallen off the radar.
Not mine.
For a lot of the folks who talk about these top shooters in the game of handball, and they kind of seem to forget just how good Alan Garner is and was. Hopefully one day we'll see him back on the Pro Tour again.
Yeah.
Let's go to Katrina Casey, who's courtside right now alongside our very own, the mother of handball, Kara Mack.
Well, you know, I think I scared Sean away with that little word association game here, but at least Katrina might know what's coming at her a little bit better. Talk a little bit about your first performance here in Tucson.
So I played in the qualifier yesterday, but I lost out in, I guess, a tight match to Sal Duenas. But I was delighted to have the opportunity then to play off for 17th place. So I had lots of games yesterday. I'm kind of feeling the effects of it now, but I think I kind of improved as I went along, and like it's all experience. I didn't come into the tournament with expectations really, so I'm just having a good time.
Yeah.
What's been the response like for you being here?
Well, I love coming to Tucson. I spent a lot of last summer here, and I have a lot of friends here, and the handball community are very welcoming, and like I've got so many training games. It's been brilliant, so I can't wait till my next trip here.
All right.
I know noticing you at other matches
11
and other
serves,
tournaments
too.
that you tend to watch the males play, watch the men play. How has that helped you out?
Well, I try to learn from them as much as I can, but I don't know if I've really adapted much of their game, but I love watching it. It's such a high level, and obviously it's great to see the Irish doing well, so Stephen has had a good tournament so far, and I'd be good friends with most of them, so I just like to see them playing to their potential, and it's good fun.
All right, I'll let them get back to the match, but you know what's coming at you a little bit later. Hope you prepare that word association. It's killer. All right, back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Kara.
It was great watching Katrina yesterday play in all those matches. She played in 6 matches yesterday, won 4 of them, including, I believe, Dave, beating arguably the best American junior player, if not the best in the top, you'd have to say 3, in Tyler Stoffel. I thought that was one of the most impressive performances we've ever seen.
Well, and then she beat the best handball player that Blake Griffin knows, in Timbo Gonzalez, right after that, which was impressive in its own right as well. But yeah, certainly with Stoffel. But you have to remember now with Katrina Casey, this isn't a different ball. This is completely different. It's a harder ball than the one she plays with. It still has the same sort of bounce, but she still has to adapt to that a little bit. And I think if she toured along, she would maybe have more opportunities to get into a qualifier final and maybe do some damage there. Because there was moments yesterday during that Sal Duenas match where you say, wow, that's some pretty amazing handball. She just let it go late.
Mondo's starting to open the door just a bit now for Steven. He's made a couple of errors, and Steven getting himself into the match. I think that's why you heard Sean Lenning say that he thought Steven should have taken time out a couple of points ago when it was 7-0, because he could have slowed Mondo down perhaps at 3 or 4-0 and wouldn't find himself down 11-4, maybe more like 8-4. Who knows? I know, Dave, that when Steven sits in the ice bath at the New York Athletic Club on Monday morning with his iPad rewatching this match, those are things he'll think about.
While getting his toes done.
Said he doesn't like his toes in the ice for more than 4 minutes at a time, which Leaves him plenty of time for that mani-pedi. Oh my.
What is that shot? I haven't seen Mondo do that before.
That's a big ball shot.
A left-handed sort of flop, but it seemed like it was with a cupped hand, or is that a fist?
I've seen Mondo use this shot on the WPH Outdoor Tour.
Wow. That's a
Short.
left-handed flop.
Mondo telling me yesterday, he said, I think I'm a better big ball player than a small ball player.
Second serve.
I don't necessarily disagree. He's amazing outside.
Well, he is, but he's never done anything outside. Inside, he has done some things. His results are better in small ball.
Yeah, but if you've seen him play big ball, you'd be very impressed.
And he is.
Yeah.
Impressive.
4 serves 13.
But he is another one of those players that is
Short.
so good, but misses these wins, these crucial wins, by just fractions of points, and even
Second
sometimes
serve.
referee calls, and
Well,
it's always so tight.
You saw that at the Players' Championship final,
I saw it.
where he lost in a very, very close match
We'll
to
play
Sean
that.
Lenning.
First serve.
Should be a second serve.
First serve 13.
No, it was over the line. It was a bad bounce off the back wall, and
On
Mondo.
the second serve.
No, it's 2 serves. There would not be a second serve on that because the ball was put into play. Yeah. Right here in my rule book, page 44.
Wow.
5 serves 13. Short. Second serve.
I know we'll get flooded with emails and tweets about that
Play.
very issue.
Mondo tries to put himself into position, and then while doing that, he makes contact with Steve Cooney, who couldn't get to that ball. Replay call from Lauren Collado,
5 serves 13.
our referee, going to 15 here. Best 2 out of 3 to 15,
Short.
breaker also to 15, but you have to win by 2. And the way things have been faring out here,
Second serve.
I'm not sure if anybody will be within 2 to make it go to overtime.
Oh my gosh, that was one of the hardest hit
Side
balls
out.
I've ever seen. Dave, you've got 3 of the most prominent athletic facilities
13
and
serves
clubs
5.
represented here in this match right now. All former
Bounce.
or
See a bad
current
bounce?
homes of the Raised Freight.
Yeah.
Stephen
All
Cooney
right, we'll play
representing
that.
the New York Athletic Club, Mondo Ortiz, the LA Athletic Club, and our referee, Lauren Collado,
13 serves 5.
San Francisco's Olympic Club. These guys are treasures, Dave, at their local establishments.
Dave, can you explain to those that are watching at home that sound that you're hearing from Mondo?
Huh.
He did it twice in that one play there
Game
at
point serves 5.
about 2-second intervals before even hitting the shot. What was he doing?
Letting some air out there, which I think is smart.
What does that do?
Well, you don't
Game-
want to become
game,
top
guys.
heavy as you see Mondo close out that first game in just about 19 minutes.
3 minutes.
But if you're holding your breath while you're swinging, Dave, you're going to become tired very, very quickly. And Mondo knows that he's got to let that air out as much as he possibly can, hopefully while he's hitting the shot. So he wants to exhale while hitting. And, Dave, it sounds like the gun show that you and I attended at Old Tucson Studios. It's just unbelievable, the sound off of his hand and off of the wall.
You're right.
It's truly incredible what we're seeing right now and what we're hearing.
Yeah,
more
and
importantly.
it's almost like a 3D effect, because here we are in our broadcast booth, which is next to the courts, and they're thick walls, but I can feel it in my feet.
Yeah.
I can hear it, but I can also hear it kind of in a delay through my headphones. Mondo Ortiz is hitting the ball as hard as I've ever seen Mondo Ortiz hit the ball. I mean, it's really impressive, Dave, and you have to say this guy loves these courts. He loves these hard courts, and I think his ball just flies well at this elevation in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, well, there's something to be said for that, I think, with the altitude, because he plays his best handball in Salt Lake City, where we've seen in the last 2 years he defeated Paul Brady in 2014 at the Players' Championship in Salt Lake City, which is about 4,500 feet-ish. And then he also defeated Luis Moreno last year, made to the finals against Sean Lenning, his best result, tied for best result in a race event. And here he is at about 2,200 feet, which you may not think is a big difference, but if you come here from sea level, you definitely notice it. The thinner air and the ball does move faster, and the courts are very hard. Like you said, they're cement. and he's using that to his advantage.
Yeah, Mondo Ortiz is from Norwalk, California, and when you say Norwalk, California, that's not a hotbed of handball until you go to Norwalk, California, and you find out that Mondo Ortiz has a lot to choose from. He can go indoor, play the four-wall game, go outdoor, and play any game. And the way Mondo does it, because he is so good at both different forms of the sport, and they are different, is that he will play one-handed, he'll play two-on-one, and this gets him in shape for what you're watching him do now. And I believe that outdoor big ball game has really helped Mondo work on his feet. But you can see that he is clearly, especially with his left hand, really planting his feet, stepping into the ball. And I think that's the reason why we're hearing that ball crack. And I'm surprised only 1 or 2 balls have broke in this match here. It should be 7 or 8 the way he's hitting it.
Well, I think when you play big ball the way Mondo does, which is with the sidearm swings, you have to swing so hard that it actually improves your small ball game, because you're hitting this ball that's half the weight, or maybe even 75% of the weight of a small ball. In your swing, you actually become stronger. Your shoulders and your back become stronger. Now you're hitting the small ball a lot harder. And I know, Dave, from playing a little bit of big ball, I used to play some guys' hands against the racket, and I would have to swing so hard to get that racket ball or the big ball to go hard or fast, that when I came back to the small ball, I felt like I'm just hitting the ball so much harder now.
Right.
And I think that's what you see from Mondo, because you see most big ball players and they have the stiff arm swings, and then if they come indoors, they try and swing sidearm, but the two swings aren't really all that similar. But Mondo is playing the same game with the big ball as he does with the small ball, and it helps him.
I think that's true, and I think the thing that helps Mondo that people don't realize is he doesn't say it's big ball season, I'm playing big ball, now it's small ball. He actually integrates both year round, and I think because he does that, he always stays fresh with the small ball game. If you go play exclusive big ball and then go switch over to small ball, well, it's like trying to hit a balloon in one case and then you're trying to hit a BB in another. It's quite different. You need the ball comes out of your hand completely different, but when he plays both, that's when he becomes dangerous. And you can see right now clearly he's playing both. And he's getting ready here for game number 2.
I think mentally that helps him a lot as well, Dave, because you can get stale just playing one. If you play just small ball 4 or 5 times a week, it gets a bit monotonous at times. And if you're mixing it up, you're in the sun, you're playing a different game, you're playing with different players, singles and doubles like Mondo does, and then you come inside and it's something new and it's fun. And you've got those two sports to bounce back and forth.
So
I think you see that a lot, Dave, with these athletes in baseball and
score is 0-0.
basketball. They like to play golf, and it's just a way to kind of see some new scenery. But in Mondo's case, it's almost the same thing, so it's actually helping him and giving him this new scenery and different perspective.
0-0.
This is game number 2. Best 2 out of 3 to 15. Tiebreaker also to 15. Mondo Ortiz up front with that blue shirt. In the back is that sort of grayish blue from Stephen Cooney. Look at this replay
1-0.
This is amazing.
This is an offhand here. Look at this here. Mondo feathers that into a 1-inch high mouse off the
I don't even know if that
wall.
was 1 inch high. It might have been no inches high.
Ground ball.
And that's the one shot I've seen Mondo struggle with.
0 serves 1.
The ball hitting all the walls into the back court, and he makes some errors.
Point.
Mondo not playing that serve well. Off the side wall gives Steven a huge
1
setup.
serves 1. Point. 2 serves 1. Short.
Steven now with his first lead in this match. Trailed 11-0 in that first game before getting on the scoreboard. Now, though, leads 2-1 despite some really nice play here in the second game for Mondo, and make that 3-1 for Stephen Cooney.
Three serves 1. Point.
And this is what Stephen Cooney is able to do so well. He can put a bad game behind him.
4 serves 1.
Never gets down on himself. And if you give Steven an opening, you're seeing what can happen. 5 quick points now for Stephen Cooney, who just has that great touch when he has an opportunity to end the rally. And you saw it there, a very wide corner kill.
5 serves 1. Check the ball.
And we're seeing now, Dave, Mondo Ortiz not looking invincible here in this second game. He's cooled off considerably. And just that 5 or 10% dip
5 serves 1.
has allowed Stephen Cooney into this match.
Short. Short.
Who's now outscored Mondo Ortiz.
Second serve.
9-6 in the last 15 points scored. So Dave, after trailing 11-0, Stephen Cooney now outscoring Mondo 10-6 and leading 6-1 here in the second game.
1.
Yeah, it's
Short.
complete flip around for all those flattering things we were saying about Mondo Ortiz earlier.
Which he heard, by the way. He was
Second
in
serve.
the broadcast booth.
I did not see that. I didn't hear him.
Yeah, he's
Side
camped
out.
out here in the far corner of our booth. Get
One
away
serve
from
6.
the huge galleries there between games. And, you know, that can have an effect. That's the drop of water effect, Dave, that you mentioned. All of a sudden you hear these two guys saying nothing but great things about
Point.
you. And now you're, you know, a little bit outside of your comfort
2
zone.
serves 6.
Your head's gotten a little bit big. How could it not?
Short. Second serve.
Smart shot there from Mondo.
Point.
A little
He just
congestion between the two there, though.
completely boxes Steven out there, which was smart. He came around behind Steven and to Steven's right. And watch what a smart play this is, Dave.
3
Yeah,
serves 6.
yeah, it just closed the door for just a fraction
Yeah.
of a second. Referee doesn't call it,
Point. First time out, 60 seconds.
and that's probably a smart timeout for Stephen Cooney as you're watching this Race for 8 event in Tucson, Arizona at the Tucson Memorial Handball Championships, and you can see Steve Cooney there down the hallway as he is thinking about what has made him successful to this point in game number 2 and trying to also cool off Mondo Ortiz, because he knows that Mondo, out of all the players on the planet, when he gets hot, it's just it's unstoppable. He was hot himself, though. How can he get back there?
Well, he was a combination of playing well and also Mondo making some mistakes and giving Steven some huge setups. Steven took advantage of those opportunities, but hasn't really been able to make much headway when Mondo's been playing like this, which is hitting hard and hitting the bottom board. Not that many could.
All right.
Mondo Ortiz taking 8th place at the Simple Green U.S. Open. Excuse me,
Starting-
7th place there, Dave.
Mondo serves 4 serves 6.
And at the
Hey.
U.S. Open, with that
Timbo.
pool of players, 7th is pretty darn good. Now, I know he had expectations to get, somewhere in the top
4
4,
serves 6.
and certainly played like it on finals day in the doubles. Nice catch, though. Look at that.
Mondo's had some success on these courts. Defeated Alan Garner, if you remember, when Alan Garner was ranked number 1, 2011 in that pre-race stop that we had. Mondo was just 6 months removed from the open heart surgery. Took out Alan Garner there. That was an amazing match.
Right. Remember that. That was very inspiring. Open heart surgery. And it's unreal when you're around him and you talk to him and you forget about it. He'll take his shirt off and change after a very
6 serves 4.
exhausting game, and you'll see that big incision that he has down his sternum, and you say, oh my gosh, I forgot this guy had open heart surgery just a couple years back.
Straight out.
I don't think there's anyone in pro sports that's ever come back from something like that. Not only come back, but he's come back into the top 4.
It really should be more publicized in a way.
4 serves 6.
Stephen Cooney, Dave, had hip surgery in late 2013. You remember he played in his first race event at the 2013 Simple Green U.S. Open.
5-serve 6.
Yeah, and that's a tough surgery to come back from no matter how old you are. That ball slid just a little bit, no call. And then a flat mouse.
And no argument from
Side
Mondo
out.
Ortiz. It looked like an obvious slide from here.
And then the flat mouse up front
serves
was
5.
so mousy that it hit Steve Cooney, but didn't need 2 bounces when it just rolls
out.
like that.
And the players exchanging rollouts now.
5-serve 6. Point. Together at 6. Side out.
Not sure what's happening here, but Mondo does like to take his time
Together
returning the
at 6.
serve.
Short.
I know that the pitcher and the catcher kind of get into a rhythm,
Second serve.
that pitcher being the server and the catcher being the referee in this scenario. And sometimes Mondo will just kind of get you off just a little bit back there when he's fixing his goggles.
And that was a terrible bounce there. It appeared, Dave, but no argument from Mondo Ortiz. And this did not look like a
7-serve 6.
true bounce.
His feet also got all tangled up there, probably because of that bounce.
Mondo just not
Ball point.
getting behind that ball enough. Reach back for it in a big air.
8-serve 6. Side out.
Wow.
Dave, you talk about Mondo Ortiz exhaling as he hits, and he'll
Timeout.
take a timeout here, and we're going to go
Yeah,
with
let's
Karamak.
go to Karamak, who's courtside right now, and then we'll talk to you about him exhaling. Stick around. Kara?
Hey guys, yeah, I've got Shorty here courtside with me who's been watching this entire match happen. I know you haven't played either of these guys this weekend, but what are you finding intriguing about this play?
Mando, he started off strong, and it seemed like Cooney started off slow, but now he's warmed up this second game, so now it's going to be a close game because they're both getting their shots. They're in there running around more, so just hopefully Mando pulls it out.
We see a lot of you guys going through the transition of the U.S. Open where many of you are playing outdoor, coming here, playing the indoor. What is that like?
It's pretty tough. The walls are different, the shots come out different, and then the cement, the wood floors, it's just a different game. It's rough on your body, and if you're not used to it and you can't get hang of it, then you're not really do good.
What do you personally like to focus on more?
I like both, but I prefer small ball.
What do you like about each?
Some shots I could do.
So what do you focus on in the small ball with right here in the indoor versus the outdoor when you say those shots?
Just trying to hook the ball. I love doing that, so rough on my arm.
How is this weekend going for you?
Pretty good, actually, pretty good. So,
What do you look forward to the most this whole season? I know that we've had a couple tournaments already, but what's your favorite tournament of the year?
usually is Vegas and the Simple Green.
Well, those already happened, so now you got to think about something more to look forward to, right?
Yeah. So.
All right, thanks so much, Shorty. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much. Kara? I mean, yeah, even though the tournaments both happened within the last 45 days, the two that he said that he looks forward to,
7 serves 8.
he still plays at every single one of the events throughout the year, getting
Short
prepared
ball.
for those two big tournaments.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he looks
Second
forward to
serve.
it, but he's also preparing for it at every stop, is Shorty Ruiz. And a lot of the players, Sean Lenning said the same thing. He asked him about the Players' Championship. He said, nice. Fun, actually, was the quote there.
Side out.
And Cooney back up here at 8-7 going to 15. Mondo Ortiz wins the first one,
8
15
serves 7.
to 5, I believe.
Short.
Yeah, but as Shorty said, Cooney very much in this game.
Second serve.
Look at that huge hop from Mondo. He came over the top overhand and hopped it
Side out.
a couple of feet. But we're not hearing Mondo exhale in this game nearly as much as he was in the last game. And part of that is because Steven's able to rush him a little bit on these shots, not giving him all that time. And now Steven's feet look a little bit slow and a little heavy.
Together at 8.
But Dave, as you see, a very lucky shot there from Stephen Cooney. According to our very good friend, Bo Ferris, Dave, VO2 studies and neurobiological studies show that if a person holds his breath while exerting muscular effort, cortisol is produced, which amplifies the flight or fight responses. So you can see the damage that can be done, Dave, by holding that breath in at the moment of contact.
I can see that.
Point.
And I'm kind of wondering why more players don't do it. And I certainly want to ask Mondo who he learned it from. We know John Bike does it. And
9
we also
serves
hear
8.
Nadi Alvarado Jr. does that as well.
Point.
Now we're seeing Mondo pull away here with some quick points.
Those are the easiest kind of shots for a pro player because the spin off of the side wall makes it impossible to miss that shot into the left corner.
Short.
Once that spin comes through your hand and hits the side wall, it's automatically going to make the front wall unless you just completely shank it, which you won't.
Which is hard to do from that angle because you're kind of facing that left
Yeah.
wall. In fact, that's one of those shots that you hit, you say, why don't I just do this with every shot? And it's not really you. It's kind of more the ball and the wall.
Mondo should have fly killed that return of serve. Instead, he lets it go to the back and makes a big
8
mistake.
serves 10. Short.
Mondo Ortiz finished in 10th place here last year, which was his worst result of the season.
Second serve.
He'll certainly improve on that, even with a loss here today, but he's looking to go a lot further than the quarterfinals here.
Side out.
Dave, Stevens not moving quite as well as I've seen him in the past.
Serves 9.
I always thought of him as one of the great retrievers, but for whatever reason, not tracking down as many balls today as I think he normally would. And I think probably a lot of that has to do with Mondo's shots.
Yeah, if you're constantly always on defense, it's very hard to become offensive.
Yeah.
You can become offensive if you want.
That's pretty easy.
I know that you've mastered that.
Have to be good at something.
11 serves 9.
11-9 here with Ortiz trying to get those final 4 points so he can go into the semifinals. We already know that whoever wins this is going to play Killian Carroll tonight at 4:30.
What a shot.
First time out of the game.
Let's check that one out, Dave, on a slow-mo instant replay if we can. Mondo rears back, lets that ball run through his fingertips, a huge reverse.
It's on, yeah.
Watch how he uses his legs here, Dave, and also keeps the ball in his hand.
Okay, you can't hear my voice
Watch
right now?
this here, Dave.
Talking into it. Can you hear my
And
voice
you
now?
couldn't quite see that ball straighten out, but it did, and that's why Steven had no play on it.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive right there. And Dave, I wanted to bring something up here. Go ahead about Mondo.
Well, Mondo just 3 points now from the semifinals and a date with Killian Carroll.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one if he were to make it. But Steve Cooney scored 5 quick ones earlier in this game, and if he did that again, he's right there serving to take it to the breaker, and you never know what's going to happen in a breaker. But this tournament, the Memorial Tournament in Tucson, Arizona, in the life that we oftentimes lose people who are special to us. In our handball life, it's no different whatsoever because we build relationships and it's a fun game, and these people that you see that are regulars that come down to the club all the time, they become more than just your friends. They're part of the family, and that's what we built this handball tournament after. Here's the Memorial Trophy that is on display.
12 serves 9.
At the front desk, and then underneath that trophy is a little pyramid of handballs, and the players down here, Dave, had a kind of a gathering after a couple of our friends passed away. They signed their name on these handballs, threw them all in the court, had a moment of silence. They gathered those balls and put them into that trophy. It's actually below that cup that you see at the top. And Mondo's saying 2 bounces.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful event that the community's created here to honor those that we've lost.
13.
Is that ball broken, Dave?
It sounded like it. But both of those shots were up in that right corner, midway up, and there might be just a kind of a dead spot there.
Yeah.
13 serves 9.
Look how Mondo goes over the top, keep that ball
Yeah,
down.
it's beautiful.
Second serve.
Wow.
How hard is it for a player to go and fade away and say, I am going to hit this with my fist, but I don't want to hit it too much because I don't want him to take it off the back wall? And you see your kind of your mechanics and your inner workings of your mathematical machine all at work there. And you can see Cooney just wanted to feather that ball back, and Mondo still killed it. And there it is. The match is over as Mondo Ortiz quickly gets those last 3 points and wins game number 2. But this game is very much mathematical, and your brain has to be able to really have complete control of that handball.
Yeah, sports in general, Dave, are extremely mathematical. The geometry, the angles involved with really every sport to become great at it, and handball is no exception. You're talking about that off-balance fist, but just any shot. I mean, you're talking about corner kills, having to hit the perfect angle to run away from your opponent or down the wall, using the right angle to keep it on the wall. The serves, obviously, are all about angle, so it's more than just being in shape and having good hand-eye coordination. There's a lot of thinking that goes on behind it, and that comes with experience, and I think also maybe some just inherent instinctual kind of understanding of math.
Yeah, it's certainly not an easy thing to do. Let's go to Kara Mack, who's courtside, just outside the court with Mondo Ortiz. Kara?
Congratulations, headed to the semifinals. How does that one feel?
You know what, the first game I put up a pace that I wanted to, and you know, stuck it out and felt good in the first game. The second game came out really slow. Cooney, he played really good. He adapted to my game, and I felt like I didn't really put much as power I did at the first game, but you know, I stuck it out and got the win.
When you called that timeout, what were you telling yourself during that timeout to go back in there and fight?
Oh, you know what? I just you know, like always push myself. You know, try to get meaner. I feel like I play better when I'm meaner, and just you know, yeah. Pull through.
So no one wants to meet the angry Mondo. That's what you're telling us.
Oh no, I'm not saying that, man. I don't think nobody wants to see the angry Mondo, to be honest. No, it's just, you know, keep my composure and, you know, play lights out.
Talking about how your year has been last year compared to this year, you're doing so much better in this tournament. What has made that happen?
You know what? It's you know, every year you just get smarter. You know, along down the way, you know, just be more patient. But then again, sometimes you got to go for them. You go for them. You go for them. You know. So that's your question.
I remember seeing you in Vegas and having you say how much you're going to work hard this year. Not the saying that you've always worked hard, but that you're going to focus this year with handball. Yeah. What are you thinking about doing this year, and what are you going to drive that focus?
You know, like back 2 years ago when I beat Paul Birdie, you know, I had a routine going, like a strict routine, go cycling and go down the canal, you know, and you know, run up hills and stuff like that. You know, train like a legit, you know, athlete, and so yeah, that's the plan of this season, and it's, you know, from 5 o'clock in the morning to sunset, you know, start working out.
What was that in you that said you want to do that this year?
I mean, I'm just tired of losing, you know, and I just want to be on top. I think it's time.
Do you feel the crowd support behind you? Because out here, there's so many people out here cheering you on.
Oh yeah, Tucson is always great. You know, I've been coming here since I was a junior, and we had a lot of battles, you know, with Luis Moreno. So they knew me since years ago. So yeah, the crowd I love them, you know.
Best of luck in the semis.
Thank you, Kara. Appreciate it.
To you guys.
Thank you very much, Kara Mack. There he is. That's Mondo Ortiz, and he gets that win in 2 against Steve Cooney. A little bit of a scare there at the early part of game number 2. It looked like Mondo was going to be on fire, came out, got that first point, and go, okay, here it is. He's going to score 7 straight, but it was sort of the other way around. Steve Cooney jumped out to that lead. Mondo caught up. Then Cooney caught up again, and then it sort of went back and forth until Mondo put on the brakes and then decided to, you know, go drag racing there at the very last second.
Well, I think you heard from Mondo, who said he set the pace he wanted in that first game. He jumped out to an 11-0 lead in just about 8 minutes. He kind of lost that momentum a little bit. Still was able to score really point for point with Steven, but once he got down 5-1, you saw him get back into that kind of pace and reestablish that kind of momentum and power that he was lacking to start that first game or to start that second game. And he pulled away there after trailing 5-1, wins that game 15-9, outscoring Steven 14-4 to close out the match. And Dave, that's going to be a sensational semifinal match between Killian Carroll and Mondo Ortiz. They played just a couple of weeks ago at the Simple Green U.S. Open in the 5th place playoffs. It was Mondo Ortiz who wasn't all that interested in that match as he was still focusing on the doubles at that point, losing an 11-8 tiebreaker. Killian Carroll also, a little bit sore going into that match as he played a lot of matches. But today we're going to see both in full flight. Both guys are going to have a lot of energy. They're both feeling good. You know that. Neither have really been on the court that much. And it's going to be great to see later this afternoon.
Yeah, that matchup right there. It's just for me alone, I want to see what happens between two guys that are scrappy and then also precise. They both have great left hands, both right hand. They both go for the bottom board. You saw early on, Killian Carroll was just going, in the first game, he probably hit 7 or 8 flat rollouts with either hand in that first game that he played, and then he continued that success with Luis Moreno and defeated him early. And then you saw Mondo Ortiz. Everybody knows what Mondo can do. And you say, that's going to be interesting. Who's going to hit the bottom board more in their matchup here in the semifinals?
Well, I think it's interesting because Killian, in his interview with Kara, said he likes coming over here because he's playing different players. He's played Durham and Nash 13 times a year in a competition. It starts to get a little bit stale. Now he's going to play some guys that he's maybe only played 1 or 2 times or maybe never played. Mondo Ortiz and he have played just once, and that was a match that no one saw. I mean, there was only about 4 or 5 people up there watching, even though it was a thriller. And they're going to play under the bright lights. As Killian Carroll said, it's great to be over here and see these people that he sees that are like movie stars to him because they're on TV, and now he's getting a chance to play them. He's going to get to play one of our great stars, Mondo Ortiz, and it's going to be I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I believe that's going to be at 4:30 here Mountain Time in Tucson, Arizona later today in the semifinals. Up next, though, we have another great match on ESPN3 and the Watch ESPN app as Emmett Pichotte and Daniel Cordova have a good one coming up. So we'll have a little, break, but then we want to talk about the matchups before that one starts too. So give us about 10 minutes and we'll be back with more action on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. It's the Race for 8 with the World Players of Handball at the Tucson Memorial. For Dave Fink, I'm Dave Vincent. Stick around. More handball right around the corner.
Uno, dos,